Hello and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. Today we're pleased to bring you another Crossworld, Link to the Past Randomizer Crossworld Keysanity tournament. It is Qualification race number 4 and we have Relkin and Flipheel on Restream tonight. And I am joined on commentary by Mind of Me and Zelnus. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much for doing comms tonight. And anything you'd like to say before we get started? We should have, I guess, just under 2 minutes.
Not really. For Inside Baseball, we actually accidentally did an intro on our own. Well, everything wasn't on, so.
Oopsie. Okay, well, I'm going to be tracking tonight along with Adalor, so I will leave you to it. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. As Narnado said, this is Crossworld Keysanity, which is, I like to describe it as the almost purest form of randomizer that ALttPR has, in that it randomizes it as much as you can without throwing too many unpredictable wrenches into the works. Specifically, it randomizes almost every entrance with any other entrance in the game, and randomizes all the items, keys, maps, compasses, bid keys together as well.
It's really essential because you're looking for all of those keys and you don't know where your dungeons and your progression are. You have to keep very careful notes about what you've done, what you can do, what you'll have to come back for. And so it really rewards having good movement execution. So when you have those required double dips, you're making them as effectively as possible. But it also requires a lot of rando planning and making good decisions and not orphaning locations behind one-off checks.
Mm-hmm. The major thing with this randomizer is that, unlike other entrance randomizers that you may have seen, this one allows you to requires a lot of bunny walks, as they're called. You can sometimes be required to do bunny. So there's a small key to both Turtle Rock and Swamp. I couldn't tell if that was it was the bid key to Swamp. So that's a pretty useless item.
Yeah, only opens up the one location. We're looking for a different swamp key.
Yeah. So one thing that almost every location can be randomized with each other. The major ones that can't be are drop down. So any location that has one drop and one exit out, those are only randomized within each other. And we already found Hyrule Castle. That looked like Main or East. I am not sure, but I'll mark one down. And yeah. So, and then the other one is all of Skull Woods, except for the back entrance where the boss is shuffled amongst itself. So Skull Woods is always in its place, the main area, but the boss can be anywhere. And we already have a mirror.
Yeah. Mirror is fantastic routing, fantastic for routing in cross keys, just because if you follow that connector, find out in the dark world, it'll make your bunny walking much more effective, because then you can check the equivalent light world locations as well.
And we're already finding lots of connectors. And that looks like... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Desert and Hyrule Castle are two of the best connectors that you can take, since they're relatively easy to go through and give you an extra 2 entrances.
Yeah, and that's going to open up quite a bit. Also, both have items in them that are accessible right away, so those are also item checks. Pretty valuable as well. So Hyrule Castle didn't have much. The drop down was the fairy drop down, which is one of the useless, essentially the only useless drop down. So we're seeing a fake flipper here. This is going to send us to the fairy, which is kind of one of the harder locations to access without this fake flip. The magic shop. So
yeah, this has been a somewhat... It was a rather popular route in a lot for a lot of cross keys runners, because it takes you to this out of the way location to check the witch's shop, Then you can set up another fake flipper to that where the useless fairy is in vanilla, check that drop down, and set up Houlihan for money. And just once again, I am Mind of Me. My co-com is Zelnus. We've got Noriano doing double duty as both restream and tracker, and our other tracker is Adalor. So big thanks to them.
Okay. And there is the Thieves drop down. And Glove immediately.
Glove is another great thing to find early in entrance rando. If you can get mirror, glove, and boots early, then you're pretty much never going to be locked out, and you can feel much more freer to blindly follow connectors.
Mirror also can commonly be like, if the moment you won't find Dark World, you kind of take connectors to try to find Dark World a lot of the times with the mirror, because then you can double check locations while you're in Dark World and Light World. Because you can't pick up many items with the bunny, but you can check a lot of exits, and you can actually do a lot of dungeons that are in Dark World by using Bunny Revival, which is technically a sequence break, although it's one that's easy enough to perform.
Yeah, anytime you die in a dungeon that is in the Dark World, you will still revive as a bunny. And that's a fantastic connector.
Yep, that is. So we're already on Death Mountain. That can sometimes take a while. We already found Hookshot Cave. So that's a lot of locations once we find the Hookshot. So there's a lot of connectors on the mountain. Death Mountain's importance is minimized and there's another entrance for Hyrule. Death Mountain's importance in this randomizer is significantly less than others. Other randomizers other randomizer types only randomize, say, connectors with dungeons. And considering that Death Mountain has a lot of the connectors naturally on it, can sometimes have 4, 5, 6 dungeons between Light and Dark World.
That being said, there's a couple of very orphanable locations up at the top of Death Mountain, and Fire Rod and Hyrule Castle, no complaints about that.
No, that's going to help, especially if they can actually find some magic, which doesn't seem to be showing up, but...
There are a few entrances up on Death Mountain that are only accessible via connectors. That would be the back of Hookshot Cave on the floating island. The Mimic Cave entrance can only be accessible via a connector or mirroring from another area, which is only available via connector, the Dark Death Mountain Ledge.
Yeah. One of the things that you will see in Crossworld is, and there's Gannon. Gannon requires Castle Tower, which is actually a pretty important thing to know. So, go ahead.
I was just going to say that requires that we will have to find both of the Castle Tower small keys, which can be rather annoying to locate in some Crossworld seeds.
The other thing is that Gannon is open Gannon. We are not required to beat Addendum 2 unless we need the pyramid. Because the pyramid drop down could be Uncle, it could be the Kakariko drop down that has the 5 chests in it. Plenty of things. Oh yeah, we also require the boots. Although you do check a lot of locations, I find that you usually find the boots somewhere in a Crossworld seed. There's the drop down for at Sanctuary, the item drop down.
So that's pretty good so far. Only drop downs. We haven't seen either runner go to Kakariko yet, which is a little bit strange. Just with the number of connectors that we found early, Kakariko has been put off, but it's a place that a lot of runners go to do. Dungeons tend to congregate there because there's so many entrances, as well as you want to find as many useful connectors there as you can.
Right, and a lot of times the efficiency of these seeds is about figuring out like multiple connectors and how to find them. So like sometimes you'll have to go from you'll have to leave Sanctuary to go to the exit in North Forest, to go to Death Mountain, to go to Dark World Death Mountain, to go to Thieves Town. And that'll sometimes be your only way to get to Dark World for an hour and a half to 2 hours. You're not guaranteed in these seeds to find natural Dark World access at any point. It is very possible to never find both gloves and the hammer for a very long time.
Yep. So on the one hand, Cross Keys is great because potentially the only thing you need for Dark World access is the Moon Pearl. But Cross Keys is also great because potentially... Oh, that's nice. Can't check too many entrances or too many chests here, but it's nice to find. But yeah, on the other hand, your only access to Dark World may be going through multiple connectors and having to do some treacherous walking.
Yeah, now a lot of people mention in chat that this mode feels like a mind destroyer. It absolutely is. If you were to try to do this from memory without any form of tracking, you'll never find any Crossworld player who says a new player should not have some form of assistance. Even great runners, that you would naturally think comes to your head first, like runners that come to your head that are great. There's a hammer that's great before the Moon Pearl even. Like runners like Andy, he has an extensive note keeping system that he himself keeps, and it is very extensive. He has a Google document that he copies and pastes every time, and I would actually highly recommend checking him out to have a good basis. The other thing is trackers. There are a couple that are really good for entrance. In my opinion, not any of the ones on Emo Tracker are that great, but everyone works in different ways. So find a tracker that works best for you. It honestly feels like playing a new mode every time.
It really does. And we get a Master Sword from Lumberjack that was at Kakriko Well.
Interesting. So I'm trying to think of the drops that we've seen.
I think right now we're just missing Uncle and Fairy.
Yeah. No, we had Fairy. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Uncle and Bat then.
Yeah. So I can't hear the music though, and that's how I tell them apart. I can never remember left or right, which one's which, ever. So I just listen to the music. But I can't hear it right now, so. Yeah, there's Smith. That's always fun to have to find. That's always in Light World, for obvious reasons. As far as I know, I've never found it in Dark World.
No, I do believe logically that one always has to be in Light World. It does not have to be anywhere near Kakriko, though.
No.
You could be required to flute up to Death Mountain with the Smiths, or mirror to some odd location like Checkerboard Cave with them.
So Agra 2 locks 2 items behind it. It's Uncle is in the pyramids, so that is something to note. Also something to note in Crossworld, something that you probably never really realize in Crossworld. Oh, that's another connector. In Crossworld, if dungeons appear in the wrong place, like a Light World dungeon appears in Dark World, enemies' damage and health are actually based on the world they're in, and there are some enemies that technically are the same. The common example are those crickets in Thieves Town that deal 2 hearts of damage and run super fast and take 3 hits to kill. They are actually just reskinned rats, and if Thieves Town is in Light World, they are actually just rats, except for their skin. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Finding Dark World dungeons in Light World can actually make those dungeons slightly easier.
And the converse is true as well. If Hyrule Castle is in the Dark World, those rats will do cricket damage.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. And somebody mentioned that, the bow game in Crossworld is actually very common. So you actually have to play. Not as common as inverted, but And
find
Thieves Town.
Yeah, our first dungeon. Only going to check the first 4 here. Of course, without the big key, we can't get anywhere past that.
Oh.
And soon after our second dungeon.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is another. Well, actually, we found Desert Palace as well. But
True.
Turtle Rock is another interesting one. It is. We're gonna see a bomb jump. Is this a bomb jump or some kind of?
Yeah. You can, with the bomb invincibility, you can clip through the rail here.
Ah.
And I was going to say, we hadn't found the business end of Desert yet, so that's why I didn't count that.
Sorry, yeah. Relton might actually complete the whole dungeon because he does have the big key.
Oh, perfect.
Although it'll be on 5 hearts. If you know the script, it's not too bad. Even if you don't know the script, if you know like the first 2 sections of it, it can be pretty easy if you just take your time to not die. Flip Peel is going to use that little tiny bit of magic he has to kill this required drop here to get the fairy. Or sorry, to get the key. Oh.
Good use of putting up the bumpers to destroy the bunny beam.
Yeah, doing his best as he will die in 1 shot, so.
Great job.
Yeah.
Going through Turtle Rock on 3 hearts is something that happens uncommonly often in Cross Keys, and you can be required to walk all the way to the Chomp Room with nary a weapon or armor. At least we do have a sword this time.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, the stuff that you do in Turtle Rock is sequence breaking. Because of the way that key logic works, but you're gonna... A lot of, like, entrance is... like not in logic. The logic is meant to never like make you lose. So you're probably gonna see an intentional death here to save a key and save time. Now with the full magic, they will probably try to bomb jump. No, they're not. I thought that maybe they might bomb jump to check the other entrance, but they want to stay on Death Mountain for now.
And there's a question chat about if the music is shuffled. Yes, so you cannot tell if a dungeon is a pendant or a crystal based on the music. You either have to find the map, get the info via Sahasrahla or the big bomb vendor, or find the map.
So yeah, half magic on Relton side is going to make everything a lot easier once he actually gets something. Yeah, this is actually being a pretty good Death Mountain.
Lots of good chest caves here.
Small key. Misery Mire small keys are actually... Every TB on the first is completely useless to a speedrunner. The first key can be required depending on how you do the dungeon. Depending on how you need to do the dungeon. If you're in Go mode, you don't need it. But if you need to clear all the chests, you will need it. And yeah, Relton just takes out the boss, no problem. So first dungeon completed, and it will be a crystal. In Keysanity, we can't actually know until we check the map with the map. So if we find Sahasrahla, we can ask them. And if
we did find Sahasrahla, who told us that the green pendant is desert.
Right.
So the only other one we'll be looking for is that bomb vendor who can tell us the 5-6 crystals. And there's another Turtle Rock entrance. That's the business door right there.
Okay, interesting. So this drop down this is an interesting one because this is a drop down that's accessible from 2 locations. So it's two locations that lead to one singular location. None of the locations actually connect back to each other.
I'm a little surprised Flipheel didn't go for the bomb jump there to see where that other entrance is.
Because they actually found it slightly earlier.
Oh, okay. I totally missed that.
Oh, and that's just a shot. Unfortunately, can't bomb and can't lift rocks. So,
but we can mirror and check the Light World versions here. So that's a nice 3 entrances. Although he does not have the glove yet.
No, not just yet. Completely different route because of going through Desert Palace and checking the mountain.
Ice Palace. Now that's a fascinating find right there with both bombos, the fire rod, a hammer. Completable, but without any small keys, you'd be leaving a couple chests behind.
Also, you need the glove.
Oh yes, of course.
And I don't think you need a single key to complete the dungeon.
Not to complete the dungeon, but in order to get some of the chests.
I thought if you took the really long way, they had old natural chests, and there's the kid. I can't remember because I never go in there without at least one key just for. Oh, and then there's Hyrule Castle again. Probably actually at the entrances and do the back. Weird thing to note if you've never done, if you didn't know anything about Keysanity, is these entrances, and there's GT again, is that these entrances are pretty set. There's his fire rod. Sorry, my brain is short-circuiting. Oh yes, the key, the Hyrule Castle key locks basically everything in Hyrule Castle. Logically, we're gonna see some bomb jumps to steal some items here.
Yeah, the only items you can logically get in Hyrule Castle are that map chest, the first one with the guard, and obviously if you have the lamp, you can get to Dark Cross.
But the key is on their person, so it is technically logical. I mean, that is a small thing that you don't really have to worry about. And big key to Stolwood's another big key that does not serve much of a purpose at all.
It doesn't serve much of a purpose, but it is one of those locations that you like to have it before you go to Skullwoods. Skullwoods big, Ice big, Swamp big. Those are big keys that you really want to have before you clear those dungeons, because it's very likely, or it can be very possible, that your progression is in those chests, and those big keys are much later in the logic. Oh, we had found Potion Shop in Kakariko as well. No sword for the Dark Rooms for Relkin, but is trying to light the torch here with the Fire Rod, which is 100% in logic in this advanced mode. Oh wait, he does have the sword, of course. I'm being silly.
He just wasn't using it. Opting to just try to light the fire.
Which is fair enough. It's a bit more efficient to be able to do it that way.
Okay, this is an important location, the Castle Tower. Not always.
No, but will be required the seed in order to access Gannon. There'll be one item that we can get here right away in this second room. The second chest will require one of the Castle Tower small keys.
Bid key to Misery Mire, and I think there's bid key to Hera in this. Is there a bid or a small key? I saw Tower of Hera though.
That was the small key. All right, I believe we're finally going to see the third, the main entrance to Hyrule Castle here, which we have not seen yet. Oh yes, we did. That was Spiral Cave. So that clears pretty much all of Light Death Mountain. So at this point for our runners, they're still gathering a lot of information. Looking for those dungeons and deciding, where is the best route here. We found a couple of accesses to Dark World. So Moon Pearl would be probably the best thing to find next. And the Moon Pearl could be literally anywhere at this point.
You have access to, and I think Ice Rod's probably got some kind of progression. It just seems like with the items that we have, there's got to be something in there somewhere.
Yeah, with that glove to be able to get there. We still do have the desert area. We have the rest of South Shore, and of course all of the eastern area.
Yeah.
And once Relkin goes through that last connector in Spectacle Rock, and oh no, even the most experienced runners sometimes do a little bit of a derp on the block pushing. Ice Palace, though, I feel is really tempting. If Relkin goes and picks up his hammer from the old man. Another completable dungeon, and you can open all of the chests in there with some bomb jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be prioritizing dungeon clears, or would you still be looking for additional information at this point?
Generally, if I hit a dungeon and I can beat it, I mean, unless it's like Turtle Rock, because of like when you beat Turtle Rock, you end up at the front entrance, and I want to do other things in that its vicinity. Then generally, I'll clear dungeons as I go, and try to clear them before anything else. Like if I collect all the items for it, I will do dungeons just because you might find items in them, and finding items in them could reduce the amount of checks you actually have to do. So,
okay, Relkin, Relkin not happy to find Ice Palace, but is going to follow it with the Fire Rod. Unfortunately, does not have that hammer from rescuing Old Man since he took the other Hyrule Castle entrance to get up here. So we'll not be able to complete the dungeon, but we'll be able to open most of the chests other than the big chest. Okay, earlier you were talking about the importance of the Titan's Mitt in Cross Keys. Do you want to go over that once more?
So the main thing is that the Titan's Mitt unlocks a lot of items, just straight up items. Once with the Moon Pearl, it also unlocks some out of the way locations that you usually have to double back for if you don't find it early enough. I would count this as early enough. The major one is with the flute. It gives you access to Mire without needing a connector, and Mire has 4 entrances on its own, and then 3 extra with the mirror. 4 actually extra with the mirror. So the Titan's Mint just really helps to make you not have to double back as much. And it just straight up unlocks items. It unlocks the Smith and the chest item once you have the Moon Pearl. So it's always good to have just items open up in entrance when you can go like an hour without finding many items.
It is really interesting to note that Titan's Mint was so early in Ice Palace. Didn't require any kind of logic break or anything. You could just go in there and grab it, which could mean that do one of the least dangerous bunny walks, which is on Dark Death Mountain, and do a little bit of super bunnying.
Yeah, which is something that is a long dead art. I don't think that Relkin meant to do that because he kind of slashed there. I think he meant to. Did he check the waterfall even while I was looking at?
No, I think he accidentally locked onto the ladder as he was swimming towards the portal.
So unfortunate that he can't check that, but he can check these 2 locations, and that is a good one to find.
Yes. One of the other things you're always looking out for in Cross Keys is the item hoards. Yep. So Paradox, Mini Moldorm, Hype Cave that we saw in Kakariko, and the Kakariko Well, which we know was at the Sanctuary drop-down.
Also, small keys and big keys are a huge tease in this mode. You can never know what they are until you pick them up, and some are very important, and others may as well not exist. So,
a pod key is usually a pretty good pickup.
Oh,
that's a find. Okay.
So sometimes the bomb shop can essentially be anywhere, as long as you can get back to the bomb ledge in some way without hopping ledges, because it can't jump down ledges. So that's a location that's a little weird, and it's very, very far away from the pyramid. So without the flute, they would have to do a huge trek. And we haven't found Eastern, but we do have Thieves Town, and so we already have a red crystal. Relkin probably noticed that by now because he's been in his menu, I think. He might not have been, because Quick Swap is actually enabled. Actually, that's something we never mentioned. There's an optional thing in Randomizer when you're not making a race seed, or when you're not making a non-entrance rate. When you're making an entrance race seed or a non-race seed otherwise, you can actually have Quit Swap enabled. Quit Swap allows the L and R button to swap through your inventory by going one left or one right while you're in the field, so you don't actually have to open up your menu. It's a feature that was introduced in other 2D Zeldas, but never made it to Link to the Past, as it was only the second one. So.
And Relkin has found a connector to the Mire area.
And that's actually a huge one, because that actually negates the advantage of having a Titan's Mint, funny enough. Now, if there's something important here that they can't do because they're a bunny, it's still nice. We also have access to all 3 medallions. Both of them have Quake. That's the drop down to Paradox, which is interesting. And then the mirror is actually going to give us access to 3 locations.
Mm-hmm. So this access to the mire area, even though he used the Super Bunny glitch to get through Super Bunny Cave, you can walk the long way through the cave and do it without obtaining Super Bunny state. So this is, again, 100% in logic.
Yeah, the item, if you got a progression item there, it wouldn't be. We're also going to be seeing another dungeon completion here of Skullwoods. Skullwoods require... Oh, no, actually. They have not picked up a Skullwoods. This is one of the only times that Skullwoods Small Key actually is useful.
Yep. I would argue if you find a Smallwood Skull Key or a Mire Small Key, and there is our Moon Pearl behind the Super Bunny Walk.
Huh. So, yeah, again, that is in logic. It's just in a weird... It's just in a very long logic, and it's always made easier by being by having the mirror and being a bunny. And a piece of heart in entrance is always welcome. Sometimes you can beat entrance seeds with very little item pickups. It's actually kind of crazy. I've seen entrance seeds be won with sub 100 item checks. Because like sometimes entrance, especially Crossworld, actually has the ability to be faster than a normal seed. It's not common. Don't go into a Crossworld randomizer assuming it's going to be fast. It's almost always going to be slower. But it does have the potential.
Now this is interesting. Flip Heel has also made their way to Super Bunny Cave via the connector rather than via the Titan's Mitts. So they will also be finding their Moon Pearl, but will not have either glove in order to make routing better.
They will miss out on one location. So.
Yeah. No, they'll miss out on two. They'll miss out on the back of Desert as well as Checkerboard Cave.
And
well, I guess it's nearer to the back of Desert. Never mind.
That was quite funny. Relton kind of, or sorry, Flip Heel kind of stopped for a second in shock when he got out of the cave. He kind of shuddered when he went to change it. He just wasn't, I don't think, expecting that at all. It's not common. Like, honestly, I do that every time I find Mire. Every single time I find Mire. It's really hard to get. It's really hard to find Mire sometimes. And there's actually, like, 4 entrances is a lot in such a small area. The only other time you get that is in Caprico.
Oh, this is really nice. Relkin is at the top of Dark Death Mountain now, and it was actually Hookshot Cave that was the other connector to the Mire area.
Interesting.
And there's Mire. Can't do anything without the boots or the hook shot yet, but that's good information to have. Now, one thing Relkin will likely do here is rescue Old Man, get his hammer, and then I believe that will be a very large advantage for Relkin at this point, having hammer, Titan's Mitts, and the Moon Pearl.
Oh, and I guess one thing to mention is that technically Gannon is open, or fast Gannon, sorry. Unfortunately, with it being in the tree, does require at least either one. So that is something to keep in mind. Generally, runners, if GT is accessible and they have all the items to beat it, they will beat it, because it doesn't take that much longer, and you may as well check the entrance.
Yep. And it is still 7 crystals in order to defeat Gannon. And technically, 7 crystals in order to open the entrance to Gannon's tower, but it's incredibly rare, if not impossible, for a cross key seed to ever require that. But it can.
It is possible, like you said, extremely rare. But if 3 swords, the lamp, half magic, Actually, just 3 swords really is the main thing. But sometimes lamp and fire rod too, or both bows are somehow locked behind GT. You would have to go to GT. It's very rare.
Or in this seed, just the second castle tower key.
Yeah, that's another one. When some other weird location, like Neon City and Addis Tower Key, Titan's Mitts. Like I said, you can go an entire city without full Dark World access. Like, trying to think if you can have Hammer not be required. And I'm pretty sure in Dungeon, Hammer is only required for Ice Palace. So yeah, you can actually have seeds without Hammer as well.
No, there's Ice Palace, Swamp, and Pod.
Okay, so there is a combination. I knew there was a combination that didn't require Hammer. So there, you can, in theory, have a seed that never finds the Hammer. There's a lot to keep track of in this mode, so, but it is very fun. Like, trust me, I will attest to this. I originally did not like Entrance that much, but the more I've played it, and once I finally found a method to keep everything in order, it's become very fun.
Yeah. I find the appeal of it is solving the puzzle. Even, you keep track of all of your logic breaks and, things that you don't break and say, okay, logically, I'm looking for that 5th pod key. I know I found these other items here and here. So that, that last pod key has to be at the back of Swamp Palace for some reason.
Yep. The other part of the puzzle is really like, it honestly, it feels like you are semi-blind playing a game. Like, you know how to actually play the game, right? Like, things like, how the sword works, like all these rooms, but you're piecing them all together for the first time. And it really feels like, especially when you have a good tracking system and you're making notes, it feels like you're playing like a La Mulana almost, at a much lower level. Like, it's nowhere near the difficulty and confusion of La Mulana, but if that makes any sense, it's you almost are putting together that puzzle of the Sphinx. Like, how do I get from here to there? Where are all these items? Where are these? Like, what's the most efficient way to get around? So I've always akined it to La Mulana, in a blatant attempt to get Author Blues to play one.
So, interesting things from Flip Heel. We found that the old man save and quit point was at the top of Hyrule Castle, and he was then able to check the 2 entrances on top of there. Those are entrances that can sometimes be abandoned in entrance. Usually the best way to check them is mirror from on top of the pyramid from your Dark World access. Mm-hmm. But having the old man save and quit point is useful there. Then the back of the old man's save and quit point gave him another access to the Dark World, and that was Dark Mountain Descent, or the Bumper Cave. But it's taking him farther away from either of those gloves now. Yeah.
That is actually one thing that, wasn't mentioned, is that the mountain is randomized. Lint's house is only randomized in inverted mode. Entrance. An inverted mode entrance is a complete other beast, logic-wise, with all the map changes, and the randomized Link house completely changes the game. It's hard to overstate how much different inverted Keysanity is.
Yeah, like Keysanity itself, it gets a little bit interesting because you've got an additional 6 spots for Sanctuary to be, and so it's really nice when Sanctuary is right in Kakariko. And then sometimes you can get something interesting if the old man's save and quit point is somewhere convenient, but having your very first starting spot be completely random, that changes the game entirely, and it's really fun to see how it develops the game.
the most interesting one, and it was the first inverted one I had, was in a mystery seed, and Lint's house was the dark potion shop, which, if you don't know, it was the regular potion shop, which in inverted means it's nothing, because you cannot get anywhere as Bunny from that location. So it was a completely dead location for 2 hours. There was no Moon Pearl for like a very long time. So the only exits we had was Dark Chapel, which, if I remember correctly, was also in Light World. So you get some really weird things, because especially with Light World having more entrances, there's a lot more bunny walking that's required, because there's just more locations. Unfortunately, there's... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that we found Pod at the Curiosity Shop.
Mm-hmm.
The field does have 2 keys, so can technically go to the back, but looks like they're going to potion unlock to unlock the boat lock side.
Generally, the plan when you're in Pod is to not open as many doors as possible through any means necessary.
Yeah, if you can hammer yump, and if you avoid opening that middle door, you can clear Pod with only 4 small keys.
Mm-hmm.
If you open the middle door and you hammer yump, then you can do it with 5.
And if you're like me and you can't hammer yump, but you can do everything else, then
then it's still 5.
Yeah, it's still 5.
It's still 5. It's just really awful, though, if you come in here without the hammer and the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Boots makes it a lot easier to move around in here, too, just with that little ledge hop that you can do.
Meanwhile, Pod itself is the front end of Desert, so that's information, but it's not useful.
Oh, single arrow, okay. Let's say it depends on what's in the eastern area. It could actually be faster to walk through Desert Palace East, which is just by Lint's house, over here, if there was something useful here as well. And that's another one of the puzzles, is managing speed in hidden places, which is completely different.
Uphill will be taking his 1 key to the back here, checking the terrapins as well as the dark basement, and Relkin will check this one last in the Pod area proper of the monkey house.
Yeah. The Clue House, or if you are like me and your first experience with this game was ALttP, you know that as the Palace of the Four Swords.
Alright, Hera big and Hera small, but no sign of Hera yet.
No. Lots of places to still check, though.
Oh, absolutely. Right now, I mean, we still have all of the Village of Outcast entrances. And we still have Swamp Palace, I believe, entrance. Actually, they've done a pretty good clear of the map already, since we got access to the Mire area.
Also, quick reminder, I've mentioned GBA. GBA Lent to the Past did nothing wrong. There's a mapped Tower of Hera as well.
Okay. Fun consequence of Keysanity is that logically you will get the map and compass either when you defeat the boss of the dungeon or before you beat the boss of the dungeon.
It's a very weird logical quirk of Keysanity. I'm not sure it serves a purpose, but it's a thing.
Yeah, well, I guess if you go to the boss and you don't have the map or the compass, you know that they're logically available somewhere. So if you think that this boss is your last location, it's not if you're missing both of them.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bottle. Another one.
Zora was actually in logic as soon as we got that glove, and neither runner has made their way up to Zora.
Oh.
Relkin did some fake flippers, but when he accidentally got caught by the ladder, didn't make it to the Zora area, but we'll be able to combo it nicely with Catfish right here.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a great setup to do Ancilla Delete. I think there's a setup with Boomerang and Bombs, but
And that was
I
the
don't
old
think that's
man
ideal.
cave, by the way.
Sorry?
That was the old man cave, by the way.
Ah.
You could tell because he stopped for a second there, and so did he. Luckily, he didn't jump down there. That would have been quite annoying.
Mm-hmm. When you've played enough entrants, there's 5 dark entrances in the game. And once you've played enough rando, as long as you hold right and up, you can pretty much tell within like half a second which one you're in.
Yeah. The hardest one is the Dark Mountain Descent, or sorry, the Death Mountain Descent. It has lots of holes. You can't just hug the wall in it. It's just a little bit harder than the others to memorize. But it is doable. It's not like it's impossible. The hardest part is if you don't have a sword, because then you have to deal with the bats.
Flip Heel is in Skullwoods. As Zelda had mentioned at the beginning, Skullwoods is always randomized within itself, so the drop-downs are randomized between themselves, and the 2 skull entrances are, or the 3 skull entrances are randomized between each other. Ideally, you want a Skullwoods layout where... Oh my god, vanilla flippers. Okay. Yeah, so ideally you want a Skullwoods layout where the connector skulls go towards the back of Skullwoods, and it's not just that they're both at the front half.
Yeah, there are lots of dead ends in this dungeon. It's very annoying. Especially when you don't have the ability to get back to Dark World, which unfortunately Flip Heel still doesn't.
Yeah. Does at least have the mirror if you end up at like this back half of Skullwoods and it's all... The drop-downs don't let you get back to the front half. You can end up soft-locked in here and have to save and quit, which is really awful if your path to the Dark World is non-linear. But luckily, not an issue this game. We have a good Skullwoods layout.
Wonder if they could randomize Zora's domain in Sacred Forest Meadow. That would honestly be hilarious. I don't know how those are coded, like unique area wise. It might be kind of closer to a door randomizer-y function. It's a great question, though.
They also both don't have the flute work, but for 2 entirely different reasons.
What would happen if you ancillary flipped and walked out of Sacred Forest Meadow? Like, are you just swimming in the forest, I guess, on land?
Oh,
or would you jump
man.
out immediately?
Well, the only problem with that is the murder dactyls would get you and kill you instantly in the fake flipper state.
They would.
I don't know if you could swim fast enough to avoid them.
You would not be able to go very far now.
Oh, okay. So we do found the dam, which is really important in Cross Keys because not only does that unlock the flooded item back at Flute Spot 7, it will also permanently flood Swamp. So as soon as we find Swamp Palace, Relkin with his flippers will be able to go in and check that first chest and nothing else because we don't have the small key yet.
That first chest could be anything. It could even be a small key.
Mm-hmm. It's always fun when you're watching a Cross Keys match and it's a hunt for that Skullwood's small, and everybody holds their breath when they see a small key and just sighs when it's a small key to Mire.
Or a small key to Turtle Rock after you just spent, like, excruciating time and detailed dying and spawning enough so that you don't have to use any key.
Mm-hmm.
Common pain for many runners.
Now, Flipkeel found one of the entrances to Paradox Cave in here. That's going to be good to know, not only for the 7 items in it, but it could potentially give us a connector to a couple of the other connector-only spots.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about a couple of them on Death Mountain. Other ones are both the light and dark versions of Bumper Cave. And the most useless one that you never really want to see is the right-hand side of Desert Palace.
Yeah, that one is only accessible via connector, but unfortunately is always useless. You cannot mirror there in Randomizer. It is useful again in inverted because you can actually I think you can mirror out.
Yeah, you can then mirror into the Mire area from right desert and inverted.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I don't think you despawn out. You're just kind of stuck and you gotta finish off a ledge. I don't remember exactly though. Again, my experience with the inverted is quite limited.
But right now, Dark Death Mountain Ledge would be really great because that would be an additional 2 entrances to check. We cover the other side of the ledge as well as Mimic Cave.
Mm-hmm. There's the
Also
kid.
start our Smith chain. And yeah, even though Relkin has Titans right now, and a dungeon up on Flipkeel, just like any rando, and because this is the most rando of rando modes, it's not over till it's over. It's very easy for Flipkeel to go and find something critical early, and Relkin ends up last location in it. It's a little bit more unlikely since Relkin has the item advantage at the moment, but keys are killer. Alright, the key to Turtle Rock. That will give us another 2 chests that we can check with our current entrances that we have.
Oh. Blue Cane is nice.
I believe we have seen Spike Cave.
Oh, Ice Rod.
Oh, okay, that's really interesting. So now I'm wondering where the laser bridge entrance to Turtle Rock is at. We would still need Samaria, but that makes things very interesting.
Samaria would open up a lot. Just as we know where we can actually access quite a bit of Turtle Rock with what we have and what we know. Well, once Flipkeel finds the other keys. Flipkeel is oddly behind on items right now.
Yeah, he's really been handicapped by his lack of a glove.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's like entrance is just so. There are 16 players in 3. We could do a 4-man layout, but that's 4 completely different perspectives going on. Almost impossible to follow. You need 4 4 trackers. Honestly, to keep track of entrance.
It's chaotic enough with 2 runners, because these
Yeah.
2 runners have been relatively lucky that it's been a non-linear seed, which is more fun to watch, but it is very difficult to follow if the runners are taking divergent paths. And we saw that immediately early with Flip Heel taking the connector to Death Mountain and Relkin systematically clearing the entrances.
So there's the hook shot, which might again lead him farther away, because I want to go back to the mountain to grab hookshot cave. Again, he still doesn't have a glove, and he just tried to pull the rock, realizing, oh right, yeah, no, this is very strange. Kind of laughed actually on his webcam.
This might though take him over to Ice Palace, which will at least get him 1 glove. Having a hookshot in Ice Palace makes the routing so much nicer.
Might be possible. No, still missing that 1 key, but very close to being able to just do everything with. I honestly feel like you don't need any keys to complete it. If you have all the items required, but you might need some Mario. No, you wouldn't, because if you fake flip, I swear you can do it without a key, but maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you'd have to orphan 1 item.
I mean, I think you can do it. I think it's one of those things where it's just really nice to have a key.
Oh,
you have to, because you have to do that
mirror.
first. Yeah.
That's it. You have to mirror if you have a key, because you can't get out of that room without the key, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, on the Hammerlock side.
Mm-hmm. But you should be able to do almost everything if you put your mind to it. Big Cancel Rock. That's actually pretty big when we already know where the ice rod is. I didn't realize that they had it.
Yep, nope. Ice Rod and the big key were right side by side. But no sign of that Cane of Samaria yet. But Flip Heel is going to go and show us a boss that we haven't seen yet in Mothula. We'll have to take a look to see what the dungeon prize is here. Hopefully a crystal.
Man, the song I play on my phone whenever I fight a boss just came on my ears right now. That's really funny.
Oh, look. Oh, I was going to hope that was the map for Skullwoods, but it is a pendant. Get some additional information. And Relkin will be able to get his big bomb information as well as that extra pod key. And we can see that Tower of Hera is a crystal as well.
Okay, that's the 3rd star from Relkin.
Okay, he will at least finally now get his first glove for Flip Heel. And I think that feels, he's not happy about that.
No.
Fairy drop down is again one of those places that people like to check early in Cross Keys because it gives you not only drop down information, but it's a really isolated check on the map.
You have to go really far away for it.
But the nice thing is that it looks like he's going to go and continue over to Zora Era. We'll get his vanilla flippers. And then maybe make his way back over to Ice Palace at Ice Rod Cave. Nope, heading back to Link's house.
In the Dark World.
Oh, fair enough. Although he does have traditional Dark World access now that he has a glove and a hammer.
Yep.
But if you've got a certain route in mind, it's nice to stick to it. A lot of times people will get burned where they've got a particular route in mind and they find an item that's great, like the glove is fantastic, but it doesn't immediately shout, hey, change your plan.
Right. It really just augments your plan.
Yep, makes your routing more efficient and maybe offers you a few more things to do along the way. But we will see some items now in Hookshot Cave. Relkin was here earlier, but did not have that hookshot.
Map.
Oh, and there is Tower of Hera in Hammer Pegs. And Relkin without that small key. Oh no, has the small key, does not have the big key. And doesn't have the hookshot to Herapod either.
Taking a little bit of a input break here.
Enjoy, have a nice coffee room tile while you take a break from pumping. Since still no boots. Boots not only important for movement across the overworld and cross keys because you tend to be going across the map a lot. There are a couple other boots locked locations in this mode that you wouldn't see in a normal randomizer. Those being the Fairy Bonk Rocks by Link's house and the Big Bomb Shock.
Yeah, there are definitely some places in Entrance that you just don't even realize is there until you play it. I forgot that there was a light and dark fairy bond cave until I played Entrance.
Yeah. Those entrances can catch you a lot if you're exploring connectors in the early game and you don't have boots.
Mm-hmm. There's a shot for Relkin now.
So in terms of dungeons, we still haven't found the business end of Desert yet.
Yeah, it's true. It can be in any non-connector only spot, so it's pretty rare to find quickly, but we'll see. And there's actually, 2 entrances over here that we haven't checked yet, so... Oh, there's Swamp.
Mm-hmm. that's Dark Sanctuary, so that's not it. Of course, Desert being the green pendant, we may not need to complete it. There is only the one item there.
True. It could also be Gannon's Tower.
Yep. Could be at Gannon's Tower. It could be behind the main Turtle Rock entrance, which we do have access to collectively. Relkin would still need to get his Bombos medallion.
Oh, red mail. Easy.
Peel finding his single arrow in Eastern. A few less arrows than are normally in that dungeon. Maybe by a factor of 100 or so. So let's talk a little bit about this tournament. As we said earlier, this is the 4th qualifier for this Cross Keys tournament. Do you know how many qualifiers are going to be admitted? Is it 32?
No, it's actually 64, and as of right now, there are only about 69 racers. Now, this is the first late night time. There are basically 4 races and 4 different time slots. So hopefully to catch as many people as possible. Now, Crossworld is probably it captures a large percentage of active long time racers. So people are more likely to play in tournaments. But it actually is a pretty small percentage of people who actually play Randomizer. So it's possible that, the qualifiers are more almost to have a fair bracket, which is nice to have. Just because in theory they could probably have just had anyone can join tournament. It's nice to have a qualifiers to at least rank. So even if only 64 people played for some reason, it would still be better to have these qualifiers. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I think that if you do the requirement of at least 3, you're probably going to make it into the tournament. If you have any previous experience and you complete 3 or 4 of these for the qualifiers, that's what it's looking like. I don't think that it doesn't seem like there's a huge amount. Right now, there's only 69. I don't know how many people are unique to this time slot, this very late night time slot. I would have to say there's got to be a few. And I don't know how many people are exclusive to the weekend, because I believe this is the first weekend. Yeah, it's 4 qualifiers and 4 time slots, 16 qualifiers in total.
And the tournament itself is going to be double elimination?
Yes. Best of 1 until the top 8, and then that will be best of 3, and the grand finals will be a best of 5. Are there tips on how to get into randomizers? Play the base game first. Underrated part. Lots of people jump into these games with absolutely no prior experience in them, just because there's a lot of people playing, so you think I'll join.
I'd also encourage you to join the Discord, which there's a link to on the main ALttPR website. Mm-hmm. There's new people joining the Discord, and there are people there willing to help. And if I could plug something external, there's also a podcast called the Go Mode Podcast, where they talk a lot about tips and tricks about how to get into randomizers, common mistakes, routing, and they go through seeds, and it's usually a pretty good listen.
Yeah, the number one advice is honestly, play the game vanilla, play a seed, get a tracker. Everyone started with some kind of advice, except for people who've been playing ALttP for a long time. So just, practice is a huge thing too. it cannot be understated how much practice these take to get a good time. If you just want to play these casually, go for it. And your favorite game probably has a randomizer at this point, especially if it's an older SNES game. There are a lot of randomizers for a lot of adventure games now.
Adventures, RPGs, even action RPGs.
Yep.
It's pretty great. There's a lot of great randomizers out there.
Yeah, if you've been vanilla before, like I would definitely do a 216 chest run, which is make sure you actually know the location of all the chests, because there are a lot of locations that are just straight up. There are a lot of locations that are just straight up never seen by a casual player, because they don't even have heart pieces in them. So they're just completely useless to a casual player who may have looked up a Brady died or something to find out where to find all 24. It's 24 heart pieces. 24 heart pieces.
Yeah, and one thing that I've really found actually is do like a co-op run with somebody who has a little bit of experience, and they can help you through it and tell you where to look and get you through it, because it can be a little bit intimidating. It can, especially if you get stuck on a seed that's requiring you to do a lot of low percentage stuff, and you feel awful. Then you just kind of like, oh, I keep dying to this. Having a buddy is like, hey, don't worry, buddy. I'll go do this spider stored cold stare. You go check these other awful locations.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that a lot of the time, don't feel bad if you don't have like the full skill to do. That's a flute. And don't feel bad if you need to find a new seat because you just straight up hit a wall. You will hit walls. It takes hours to get good at fights like fighter sword, like fire rodless, like Mothula or dumb things like that. Like pretty much any fighter sword fight that wasn't intended to be done that way.
Nice stare flip by Flip Heel.
There are a lot of ways to get into that door. There's a lot of fancy ways. Put shot in, to sneak in there. That's my favorite one. Yeah. So I would just urge people to take their time.
Yeah. And you know what? Once you've played a couple of seeds, you'll have a better idea of where your weaknesses are. Like if it's a practice hack, where you can load yourself with whatever equipment you want and practice rooms and bosses.
Yep. Oh yes, there are practice hacks for a lot of these, bigger speed games. Super Metroid, Smash, or if it's not a healthy speedrunning community, it probably has some form of practice hack or save editor that allows you to access parts of the game at will. So. Heck, even MMX had it on console.
So there's a question about how to bomb in the game, but if you're talking about the bomb jump, the bomb jumps tend to be pixel perfect setups where you line yourself up at the edge of the pit and then just lay a bomb and let the explosion throw back Link to wherever you need him to go, like with that Ice Palace bomb jump.
Yep. Basically, the idea behind it is that the bomb is intended to push you backwards. It's just not that the developers or anyone really intended you to actually use that to cross gaps. So while you're in that state, you can actually see Link kind of jump a little bit if you look closely. So.
And here's one of the most infamous bomb jumps, the hammer jump. Relkin doing the one bomb setup for that. Got it on the first try. That's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, that bomb jump is kind of like the first hard trick that a speedrunner will learn. It requires you to know exactly where it is, buffer, all these little things here and there. The major thing is that they do take practice. They do take a lot of eyes. Some of them are a lot easier than others. Like some are not pixel perfect, especially if you have boots and you can bonk. I would just recommend, honestly, if you want to get into racing randomizers, look up speedrunning guides. That's not a joke. That is really want to look up speedrunning guides.
Yeah, but if you find that you're having more issue with like logic and routing and you're okay with execution, I mean, you can always never practice execution so much, but if you want a quick way to practice logic and routing, there is actually a made by Kyong where you can just go and say, it's like, okay, I've got this item and this item. What chest should I open up first? And you can just go and open the chest without actually having to do all of the movement. And here is this Harapot set up from Relkin. Even though he does have the big key, boop, just bomb yourself into a position, flip into the pot, and you get to skip 2 floors of Tower of Hera.
Mm-hmm. Very new glitch, actually, or more like exploit, is all these things that require ancillary is what it's called. It's basically a function of not even Link to the Past, but of this game, and it's a function of assembly, which is how it determines where things are on on axes. Because obviously there's no actual XY axis, but the game still needs to know, like, is this something actually technically below you or above you, or where it is in the room. And you can mess with that code very easily, and also Link can sneak his way into positions pretty easily. So
Flipkeel's reaction there to grabbing the vanilla flippers. And Relkin getting the magic powder off of Moldworm. And we also didn't mention that we did find our last pendant. The last pendant, it was on Ice Palace on Cold Stare.
Yeah, that is actually very annoying as a runner to find. I find that, and maybe this is, I know it's not maybe. This is purely my confirmation bias speaking, but I feel like I clear like 2 or 3 pendants in every entrance seed because they appear in front of me and I have all the items for them. They don't ever have anything, but I have to clear them because they're right there and I don't know. But I swear they're always pendants. They're never crystals. Never lucky.
And
hey, bow!
Finding a bow. Now that's nice for him. He'll be able to finish off Pod. He had 4 pod keys, and I don't believe that he opened the middle door, and he did hammer yump. So
that's true.
Yeah, he'll be able to go straight to the back and kill Helmasaur, as well as open up the 2 key lock doors.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, Relton did open the door. Flipkeel didn't. So Relton will need to find 1 more key.
Well, he could still opt to go to the back and defeat Helma, but instead we're going to go and see some intended Ganon's Tower now, without the bomb jump.
We don't have the big key, but we do have some small keys.
Sorry, Ganon's Tower basement is what I should have said.
Yeah. Or actually, our Tractor says he has the big key. I think. Yeah, but not his Tractor, so I will trust our Tractors over the runner.
Well, there's his 5th pod key, so...
I feel like I'm behind, so I'm going to refresh. And, by the way, if you... Actually, you know what? I hope that you're still here, person who was asking how do you do in Randomizers. I seriously strongly recommend looking into the new Link to the Past ladder, because that is a great little thing.
Yep, the ladders are a twice daily race where it's a big group race, but you're really only competing against one other person. And it's somebody who, the more you do, the closer in skill level they're going to be matched up with you. And it's just a really fun way to do it because you don't know who you're matched up with.
Yeah, and it really takes the pressure off once you've gotten that calibration Because your first match could be against quite a large amount of people, including good, very good players. But once you either win or lose, you start playing against people much closer to skill level. It can feel quite good to have that, not having to worry about seeing 20 people finish ahead of you, because you can't see that. You only see if they finish ahead of you when you're done. And it really can help you complete seeds, and then you have somebody to look back on and see what they did better than you.
Oh, and there is our Cane of Samaria in Rando Room. We have a completable Turtle Rock. We'll need one more. No, we don't actually need one more small key. We have 2 small keys. That's enough.
We know where Aniston is. Okay, so all we need right now is the big key to Eastern, small key to Swamp, and that's it. And if we find those, we can beat the seed. And the entrance to Mire. I don't think we found Mire yet.
No, we did find Mire. Mire was
right.
At the top of Dark Death Mountain. But
yes.
We are looking for one more Castle Tower key.
Oh, right, yeah, I forgot about a little silly detail. But we actually, that does open up quite a bit, it does let our runners finish some dungeons.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So Pod is now completable. Mire is completable.
That's small key to Ice Palace, that means Ice Palace much more. Okay, I don't think Relkin has the big key, because otherwise they would have opened up that big key chest.
Yeah, no, he does not have the big key to GT at this point. But now with that Cane of Samaria, can do this right-hand side. And we will see a tile room play. Something rather common in Keysanity modes, just because it's just another chest. In non-Keysanity, this has a really high percentage of being a small key, and generally you don't need all your small keys in GT, but in Keysanity, it's just another long chest. It's not anything particularly special. However, it does look like Flipkeel does have the GT big key. So we will have to see if one of our missing keys is in there. There is also the possibility of the 4 items at the top of Gannon's Tower, and the 2 that we know are at Uncle behind Aghanim 2. There's a question in chat about Flipkeel saved coming his Castle Tower key. I can't say that I saw that. Are you aware of that, Zilnus?
No. He reset his game. Swamp, one of the small keys of Dark Palace is in the big key chest. Okay.
Oh, I see. Oh, he saves come to Gannon's Tower key. Yeah, I mean, getting to the double firebar room isn't that difficult, so that isn't too bad. Alright, Paradox Cave was a connector to Dark Death Mountain, but not one of the ones that we wanted. I mean, Gannon's Tower is just right in Kakariko. That's not too bad. And yes, there we go. There is the Dark Death Mountain Ledge, the other entrance to Paradox Cave. And we've finally found all of our item hoards. Here is Blind's Hut. Alright, nothing very interesting in the front. We'll see if there's anything better in this last chest in the back. And it really is a shame that Flip-Heel does not have that bow. He could potentially climb up the tower with a mimic clip. That's a really long time waste if you're not familiar with it. Well, I'm gonna go take a trip all the way through Spiral Cave back to the mire area. And then Relkin, I imagine, will be taking the Dark Death Mountain connector to head up to Mire. This dark room is the Death Mountain Descent, but done in reverse. So this room that Relkin is in now is the one with all of the holes in the floor. He's using ether to freeze the bats to better navigate his way through there, which is a really good tip. Relkin showing off a nice combination of hookshot and swords for Mire 2. Mire dungeon that gains a lot of value in Keysanity modes, going from 2 items to 8.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, both these guys are actually starting to catch up on item-wise, although that bow is going to be a bit annoying. I don't know, and then I don't know when... Actually, I don't know if the flute's almost kind of useless on this, other than for convenience.
Yeah, I don't think Flip-Heel might... I don't think Flip-Heel will even turn it on. Unless he did already, I missed it. He was just in Kakariko to look through Gannon's Tower. Thank you, Norinado, our tracker, one of our trackers and our restreamer today, keeping us honest. Alright, we will see what is here for the Turtle Rock entrance. terms of entrances, we haven't seen this. Yeah. Just a storyteller. So we haven't seen this. Obviously, we haven't seen Pyramid Fairy. And, of course, there's Gannon's Tower itself.
Yeah, Gannon's Tower. Have we seen all the pendants? Actually, it's starting to narrow down to possibly be back to desert, which is funny.
Mm-hmm. We've seen all the major item locations, so I really do think that it's, our progression is here in Mire, or it's over at the top of Gannon's Tower. Oh no, we have to go back to Ice Palace. At very least, Relkin has not finished Ice Palace yet, so it's not so bad for him to go back to. He just got his Titan's Mitts and left. But Flipheel, having already cleared Ice Palace, is going to be very disincentivized to go back. But on the other hand, it's just a flute to 8 for him.
Right, and I mean, these locations, though, can still be quite annoying to see. A little cheat there to grab that chest without needing to go around. Conserving magic here by using the lamp.
Not a huge deal since there is a full magic refill in the next room, but it feels really bad to light up all the 3 of the torches and then have not quite enough for the last. There's one of the other checks that we have is that second chest in Agra Tower with that castle tower small.
Yeah, it's so we only know of the one, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen any keys lying around on viewable spots. I don't think we saw... I think we looked at Bumper Cave, but I don't believe it was any kind of small key. And we have not found a connector to Light or Dark Bumper Cave yet.
Easy boss with the tape and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you really want to do tempered spins to take out the small eyes. You'll be able to double hit a couple of them as they move around. But if you don't feel comfortable with your spins, there's no shame in taking on the cape and then spamming your sword swings to prevent the magic drain. This game has difficulties dealing with 2 different things happening at the same time. So if you have your cape on and you spam your sword wildly, then it won't drain your magic.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, of course, we have the rest of Turtle Rock to explore. I disagree with this move from Relkin going to the front first. Mostly because if you... Oh, he hasn't done these checks yet. I forgot about that. It was Flipheel that was in here earlier. Okay, then yeah. It makes sense to go to Chomps and then mirror out. But then you definitely don't want to go all the way to the front here, because what will happen is you'll complete Trinex, and then after you complete Trinex, it'll spit you right at the front of Turtle Rock, wherever that is. Which could very well probably be a Boots Lock location at this point.
Well, no, we know where the front is. We had found it earlier.
Oh, you're right. Yes. You're quite right.
So... It's actually, the worry is, leaving through the back exit. You want to check it, almost. Well, not today though. Let's check more on the mountain. Since we, I think, know all of the exclusive locations. Yeah, like we know all of the connector only locations now.
Yeah, other than Desert Ride, I think.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
probably at this point is
Oh no, because we don't know Bumper Cave.
oh yeah.
We haven't
And I don't
ended up
think
at
we
the top of
found-
Bumper Cave yet.
I don't think we found that one dark room with the I don't think we found like Dark Mountain Descent yet.
No, we did. That
okay.
was the connector that took us from the Mire Shed to the top of Dark Death Mountain.
Right. Like the one with the holes.
Yeah, the diagonal hallway and then all the
Yeah.
holes and the bats.
Okay. Flip is just having like harder boss fights by far.
But gets it down in the end. We'll get that red goo and more importantly the crystal.
Eastern is another quality that if Relton was able to check like there could be a dungeon at Ferry, so
Yeah, if only we had that Eastern big key. It'll be here on Laser Bridge. So.
yeah, Laser Bridge has a lot of like this dungeon is so interesting because you can find so much of it so quickly. I love this dungeon.
It's a lot of fun in Keysanity, and it's even more fun in Cross Keys because you can go through all these entrances. So you only need 2 of the 4 keys to full clear Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike, regular Keysanity, where you'll still need, 3 or 4 small keys to.
Yeah.
Also, inverted Keysanity, you only need 2 small keys to full clear Turtle Rock.
Which is a weird requirements. It's one of the most. Well, oh, hey, there's another small key.
Okay, well, that solves that problem. We won't need to be looking for that Castle Tower small key. So I do believe then at this point there can be nothing of use behind Gannon's tower. So we're down to a bunch of really awful checks after Trinex. Well, I guess we'll do Trinex and then we'll do the 3 chests at the front of Turtle Rock. But then we've got the Ice Palace Big. Have they checked the Skull Woods Big? I don't believe they had the Skull Woods Big key when they went in
Nope.
there.
Oh!
Oh no!
Oh no,
Okay.
we didn't find the front. I thought we did. I'm sorry. Wow, that's incredibly frustrating, actually. Both of them will think that the other both of them will think that the other did the other thing, but that's funny. I swear we had found the front, but
No, Big key. There's the map to Eastern. Yay. That's not useful though. Yeah. I mean the big key door is just at the library, so that's not too bad to get to. Oh yeah, no, the front was at the library. And then it's the eye lasers that was at Pyramid. Oh, the safety door. Oh, the safety door was Pyramid Ferry. Thank you, Oro. But I don't believe that we saw eye lasers checked yet. So eye lasers could be our link over to the bumper ledge. So you're really lucky by Relkin that he didn't take the safety door. Would have got stuck outside Pyramid Ferry. It's
That's
probably
half magic.
pretty tempting.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say this half magic has been paying off for Relton like hard.
Oh, for sure. For sure. If I was Relkin, I'd be pretty tempted just to clear off Agra Tower right now. You'll get that second check, and you know you have to clear it anyway. And yeah, it'd be nice to have the boots to clear it a little faster, but Tempered Sword is going to make it fast enough. And confirms that yes, it is indeed Swamp. That is a crystal. Doesn't have that information that Ice Palace is his last pendant yet. And here is a play to finish off Pod.
I wonder which optional, or not optional, sorry, wrong wording, but which item he's gonna opt to skip.
Looks like
it will be.
harmless.
Yeah, I was about to say harmless Hellway.
Now you can do some shenanigans here with taking a death warp and then just choosing to continue rather than save and continue.
Yeah.
But he is going to just continue on.
So uphill going back to the mountain. By Turtle Rock. Nope.
I think if he's going to Turtle Rock, it probably would
right,
have made more sense for him to just take the front entrance.
Right. So interesting thing is that it's very possible that Relton could not touch Ice Palace. I don't think there's anything other than the lamp and flute there that he hasn't already got, because he did find those Titan's mitts.
Yeah. It's just whatever might be in that big chest, if that's our Swamp Palace small key or
Right.
our Eastern big key.
Mm-hmm. Well, Relton did get their wish of no Ice Rod hunt, so...
Yeah, that's true. So small mercies. But in some ways, the Swamp Palace small key is almost worse than the Ice Rod.
Yeah, 12 items locked behind it. Sorry, 10.
Okay, on to Helma for Relkin. Be a nice, straightforward fight with that hammer tempered sword. Okay, Helma, are you gonna send us somewhere interesting? Small key! Okay, that's nice. That's nice to find. There is that small key to swamp.
Yeah, that could actually... It's extremely likely that we're actually in go mode.
Other Yeah, that will
Like-
find the Eastern Big Key somewhere in Swamp.
Yeah, it's extremely likely at this point, actually.
I mean, it
But
could.
we'll see.
The seed could still give us the runaround.
Oh,
Swamp
absolutely.
might.
but- Sorry.
I was gonna say Swamp might give us the book, but at least we're going into Swamp with the big key, so we don't need to worry about that.
No, this is going to be very interesting. Now, for posterity's sake, there is, a 50-minute delay. And no one at all has finished yet. So,
No, but I mean, 147 would be an insane cross keys time.
oh yeah.
Typically, for the top runners, you're usually seeing times around the 150 to 210 range.
Yeah.
Slightly more average runners, more like 2.5 to 3 hours.
And those are kind of the low ends. The average cross DC does take about 2.5 hours for experienced runners. So it can be quite long.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that more often than not, these seeds are in the 210 to 230 range, with, that being kind of the normal seeds, 140 to 150 range. So interesting then is that the silvers does give a large advantage. So if this is essentially go mode, Relkin does need to go get the other small key in GT quickly, but other than that, oh yeah, and actually we have the upper bounds of GT to check as well.
Yeah, that's a potential area for the Eastern Big Key. Now, Relkin does not have the Ganon's Tower Big Key. I was wondering if...
Right.
Do you recall where that was?
Not
Was
at
that
all.
also an Ice Palace?
Oh, maybe.
I'm just trying to...
Oh, Eastern
Eastern-
Palace, okay.
Okay.
So he hasn't actually been to Eastern. Or if he was in Eastern, he popped in and then left immediately? But
If it was literally the first chat, he might have, he looked at Eastern, but he hasn't, explored it at all.
Yeah.
He knows where Eastern is.
That's pretty smart. Especially if you don't have the lamp. It's not much as in logic. Only the 3 chests, and they take a while to check, but they're not easy. Oh, bye-bye. It's very funny right now because Flip Heel... Oh, right, I forgot. There are glitches you can... Never mind.
Yep. He is setting up Diver Down, where you can sneak in between the rail and the Samaria block and skip past the water and jump down
Yep.
here. He also was trying to set up a fun thing where if you leave that room at the exact time that the bomb is exploding, then it will hit the switch as you enter that room and flip the switches.
The reason why that happens, by the way, is because those rooms are on the same, what are called super tiles, which means rooms are not independent of each other. They are usually part of one larger room. That's how they make those rooms that are larger than the average room, like the room that we see here. These 2 rooms on Flip Heel side is one super tile. And on the world map even there are super tiles. That's where you'll see that laid sometimes when you're loading in to another one, when there's like an item on the other super tile and you load that part of the super tile, like that's crossing over and it's trying to load. The reason why that works is because that bomb will disappear if you leave the room, but that bomb explosion can still exist while you're in the screen transition, and it's still exploding, so that's why that works. Yeah, there's a lot of little intricacies, especially since Randomizer came out, because Randomizer players had to get slightly more creative with the game.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these things were known from, major glitches players and the discovery of exploration glitch and things. The discovery of super tiles and things were known, but some of these things, like the Ancilla deletion and uses of the Samaria block. Ooh. we're only discovered because Rando finds new and interesting ways to make, 30-year-old software do new things.
Or in the case of ancillary glitches, literally because somebody was messing around. So the origin of ancillary glitches is somebody did something really weird with the boomerang one day, and then like 2 months later, people realized that there was more to it than just I made graveyard go boom. It was literally like one day they were like, well, that was cool, but that's useless. And then another day somebody went, haha, game go brr.
Oh, that was a really nice Argus fight. Good combination of spin pokes there. Takes a single silver. So a couple interesting items found in Swamp. Boots, of course, are nice to move around and opens up all the boots checks. And we also have the book checks now from Ether and Bombos.
Item-wise, we only need the EP key. So who knows what we're going to find from here, but that did open up, like you said, quite a bit, and I'm excited to see what they find. The two of the bomb jets are quite annoying, but two of them are quite easy. Or, sorry, not bomb, but bonk.
Yep. See one of them right here. Go to the Link's House bonk, and then probably transition to the Dark World to do the Dark Fairy bonk.
And then check the tablet.
And I wonder if he'll just then clear out Aga's tower, since it's right here in the area.
Possibly.
Oh, did he not look at the Desert Torch? I believe it wasn't anything... Oh, he's got the Desert Small Key. Oh, I completely forgot about that. Really nice routing from Relkin, recalling that and able to route this in with his boots checks. Flipkeel also rewarded now with his Swamp Palace Small Key. Will be following Relkin into Swamp. And other than that GT Big Key, fairly equal. So it depends on if that Eastern Big Key is at the top of Gannon's tower and Relkin last locations, refuses to dive into Eastern without the Big Key. Maybe possibilities if Relkin decides to go and clear Ice Palace.
Okay. Nope, just bombs. Hydro triple boom. Now, if you're curious on when the next one of these are, like you tuned in partway through and you're getting confused because all the entrances are mixed up and you're not 100% sure what's going on, because these are kind of hard to follow when you only come in partway, I would definitely recommend coming by tomorrow at 7 p.m. EST for the next one.
Yeah. You can kind of tell, based on the loadout, what's going on here. Story of the Seed really was Relkin checking his drop-downs, got his glove early, which led to his Titan's Mitt early in Ice Palace, and got his Moon Pearl only maybe like 5 minutes ahead of Flipheel, but Flipheel didn't have either glove, so made his Dark World routing really inefficient.
Yep.
And that's the difference at this point.
So interesting is that we're actually going to be seeing a Dark Agra tower climb.
Yeah, with that lamp also in Pendant Ice Palace. Relkin doesn't have it.
It's not the worst if you know it. These rooms are pretty, formulaic, so you kind of get used to them.
Yeah, but there definitely are dark rooms that you don't practice often compared to something like the Eastern Dark Rooms. This one with the platforms is definitely the most hazardous, but once you get past that, and if you have the fire rod to light the torch, it's pretty straightforward, and that's the hard part over. After this, Relkin will have the Ether Tablet check, Ice Palace, and dipping into Eastern.
Oh, Lumberjack is Gannon.
Yes. Lumberjack is Gannon himself. Uncle is under Agra 2.
Yeah.
We have not seen a Ganon's Tower climb yet. Flip Heel had the big key when he was in Ganon's Tower, but no bow. And Relkin had the bow, but no big key. Nice spin speed going into Agra 1. It's always really impressive how many of the so-called decorative stairs you can go and get spin speed off of. Or hook speed, as it may be. I think my favorite one that used to be purely for swag and now has a legitimate purpose is in Hera. Alright, Flip Heel also going to go and set up that diver down. This room and the other room in Swamp that you do diver down in are a little bit strange, that the water is only that first tile, and past that it's just texture. And the game doesn't check to see if you're swimming or not.
Okay.
Relkin needs to make his way back up the mountain. Will likely probably take the desert portal, or the desert entrances up. Or hopefully maybe this might be his Eastern dip. Eastern is at the Hammer House in Village of Outcast.
I don't know. At this point, you don't have any good options. Either of the runners, so you really just gotta kind of take a gamble somewhere to hope to find the key that you're looking for.
Okay, is going into Eastern. We'll get that Ganon's Tower big key here, but we'll not be getting the Eastern big key he is looking for. And then in the meantime, Flip Heel still hasn't cleared Hera or Thieves Town. I'm fairly certain that he found Thieves Town. Yeah, he has done that.
But he doesn't even have the big key yet.
Oh.
They've done such different routes. It's
yeah, it's been hard to keep track of.
But that's entrance. You make one different decision in your route, and suddenly you have 3 different items that your opponent doesn't, but your opponent has found 5 different locations you didn't. So
yeah, exactly.
Entrance is on a player's forum, like probably one of the hardest. Just mentally, because there's just so many options.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and when you're in a competitive race against people that you know also love this mode and are going to be really good in execution, you're focusing on your execution and you don't want to get sloppy at that, but you're trying to consider literally everything. You're planning your next move. You want your routing to be as efficient as possible. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Can you only do timer down in certain areas? Yes. It's very specific the areas that you can even do it in. And let's see if they actually let you say skip flippers and swap, it would be immediately banned. So that would be far beyond the pale for what's allowed. It would break the general rule of major sequence breaks.
Yeah, it only works in that room with the small key going to the left side and the 2 flooded chests in the back, and that's just because of the way that the game was programmed.
Yep. Yeah, the water flip heal pass can't do it there. Partially because it would be a fake flip, and I believe the damage would oh, flip heal didn't do gauntlet. Okay.
And he's going to go and check that GT big chest on the way. So flip heal, check light bonk rocks. And now he's going to go and check King's Tomb and regular bonk rocks, which we did not see Relkin do before GT. So there's the business end of Desert.
Relkin... Oh yeah, Relkin... Wow, Relkin didn't ship these 2. Interesting. I think that the bonk rocks... No, I'm thinking of my own seed from the other day. I thought the bonk rocks, they had popped out of it before, but maybe not. It is hard. It is annoying to get to these rocks, though, so...
Yeah, when Sanctuary is not where Sanctuary normally is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Lanmo could have that Eastern Big Key, and I'm a little surprised... Or Saha could have it with the green pendant.
Yeah.
I would have cleared Desert right there.
Now, also, the top of GT could have it, so this is definitely a good play.
Okay, so we're going to see somewhat synced GT climbs. Relkin being a little bit ahead. Flip heal, though, needs to be in the light world to go to Gannon's tower.
Flip heal's got to check some locations here. He hasn't done this whole thing.
Again, these divergent routes. I believe this actually had some form of progression down in here. This was where Hera was.
Yeah, this actually is one of the funnier locations. Those you can pop out of there and have the mirror, and that be your required to do the natural bat cave. That is always a funny, strange one. When your only access is through there to mirror, and then it's like gloves or hammer. Flip heal did a different setup for Hera.
Yeah, using spin speed, which is one of the actually easier ways to do it because it makes those pixel movements a little more consistent to set up. And Relkin just blazing through the gauntlet here. You know, tempered, silvers, half magic. Didn't quite get the 1 cycle on Lanmo 2, though. It's been... I swear, they must have, like, nerfed Lanmo 2, because I've been seeing some really good runners just whiff on it. Alright, Old Orm 2 down for flip heal. Gets that powder, and then we'll be checking... Had already checked the no. Still has to check the basement.
I'm putting my money on the key being on Uncle himself.
I just can't stop thinking about that Ice Palace big chest.
That is a spooky one.
It haunts me. Alright, Flipheel gets his silvers, so both runners are going to have equal equipment. Moldworm 2 down for Relkin, and looks like Flipeel is actually going to do a head check to see if that Eastern Big Key or that Thieves Town Big Key is there.
Oh, I was checking pedestal just to be sure.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is a possibility, but not today.
Oh, not getting those like multi-hits, which is very annoying. But got through the fight.
Yep. Alright, there we go. Aga 2 down. And the bat will grant us access to finally talk to our uncle.
He got really lost. He went for that walk, left us alone, somehow down in a locked golden pyramid.
Alright, Uncle, what you got?
Oh, no, that's not a big key. Okay.
Oh, but it does open another check. Oh.
Oh. Oh, let's see where he goes next.
So, Ether Tablets, Ice Palace, and he still has those two Bonkrocks locations, as well as now Thieves Town Big Chest. Or the two Late World, the usual Boots locations.
Okay. Where is our Link gonna go next? Oh, bomb?
Can't do bomb. We haven't done Eastern.
Oh, yes, you're right.
This looks like Thieves Town. Coming to...
Oh, checking the key. Yeah, why not?
Coming to Kakariko from the south. Our runners will temporarily be in Thieves Town simultaneously, one with that small key, one without. This is a qualifier race for the Cross Keys tournament. There are 26 other runners.
Yeah, and as of now, none have finished. But we will see what this Thieves Town key is going to lead to. Then we actually have to go to Gannon.
Yeah. is looking for that eastern big key. Then it's a quick trip to finish off Eastern and finally then go to Gannon, who is in Lumberjack today.
Nope, not there.
All right, what awful
Stall
location
Bitty.
is it in?
Stall Bitty is right here.
Oh, yeah, good idea. And then he can also check the booth's locations.
Yep.
There must be a connector that we haven't seen the other side of, because we still haven't ended up at the top of Bumper Cave yet.
Right, but I think that they would have... I think that there's only one more. Oh yeah, no, that actually could be something. I feel like...
I haven't kept track of how many item caves we've run into yet.
No, it's not checking that ever. Oh, you got the small key to Castle Tower back.
So Bumper Ledge itself isn't anything, but the Light World equivalent of the top of Bumper Cave could be an item cave.
Oh, Desert Palace can also be done. He'll be right in the next hole.
Yep.
Could be there as well.
Yep, so it's either Desert, Ice Palace Big, or the Ether Tablet.
Or the Green Pendant itself.
That's true too. Alright, so we're down to 4 locations, 25% chance.
I mean, this is basically a 50% chance.
Yeah,
he doesn't
true
know
enough.
it.
I still feel that Ice Palace Big key is the key. And I know that Relkin was thinking that, you know what, I'll go back to Ice Palace if I ever find the flute, but unfortunately for him, that flute is in Ice Palace. We do have our official first off-stream finisher in this qualifier. Plasma Kappa Send Help finished in first place with a time of 2:14.18 on racetime.gg. Alright. Relkin takes revenge for his bad land mode 2, takes down Relkin. Oh! Oh!
And on a similar note that isn't in chat, there's also one forfeit, which is T-Stew. Obviously we don't know, but forfeits are totally okay. You don't have to finish to see if you don't want to.
Exactly. Real life gets in the way, or sometimes you've just,
You just don't want to
had an awful time of it.
Yeah, you're just not having fun. No reason to play Randomizer if you're not having fun.
Mm-hmm. Alright, let's see what this shovel is all about.
And then we'll probably chip Sahasrara.
Yeah. Have to go find a way up the mountain for that.
Huh. Okay, Sahasrara, the Ice Palace, or Ice Palace and Sahasrara.
Yep. And the Ether Tablet.
Relton still doesn't have... it still doesn't have the flute, so... has to actually path his way up there.
Yep. Taking the Hyrule Castle connector, so this will let him check Saha as well as Ether Tablet. He'll making his way to Agra 2 to find the whole lot of nothing behind Lanmo. I guess you get a gold sword. Yeah, your phase 1 and 2 of Gannon are slightly faster.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh, it was on Saha the whole time.
Required those boots out of swamp to go find desert.
Boots Lot Desert.
Yeah, after all that, it was still a Boots Lock Desert.
All dungeons.
Yes, indeedy. Aga 2 required because of the location of Gannon. Or Aga 1 required because of the location. Aga 2 not required.
I'm still surprised Flipheel didn't do the dungeon when he found it. He had the keys.
Yeah, I think that was one of those cases where when you have a route in your head and you don't want to be strayed from it.
Right.
It is a double-edged sword. Sometimes, if you stray from your route too much, you miss things. But when it gets late in your seed and you're one item from go mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an entrance like guru or anything. I just it feels right to just finish dungeons. The only exception is that Chill Rock one, because leaving it can. But sometimes that entrance is just in a really weird place, especially if you don't 100% know where it was. He also still has to climb Castle Tower. He still has to do Hera. No, he did Hera.
Yeah, he did Hera.
Yeah, he did Hera. It's just not checked off. Mildly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just gonna.
No, I was about to go mildly off topic. So.
I was just gonna say that Flipeel doing Aga Tower makes sense. He knows he has to do it anyway. It gives him a chance to go and reorganize your thoughts.
Yeah. It is nice for that because it's pretty formulaic. But yeah, my slight off topic is I just realized that I would absolutely love to have an AI Somnium Files APK pack for this game and replace Gannon's Son with Invincible Rainbow Arrow.
Alright, we get one last piece of heart from the Armos Knights. Not quite enough to tick us over to 19. Sometimes it's a hidden goal in Cross Keys if you can get up to 20 without trying. Now it is just a quick mirror and run up to Lumberjack for Relkin, and he'll be able to put this seed in the bag.
Isn't a little bit of a run, but
feels good to run though after being bootsless for so long. Let Lick stretch his legs. Alright, here is Gannon. Like we said, Butter Sword makes this fight much quicker. It is only 6 slashes per phase.
It makes the fight so much easier when you have all this equipment.
Phase 3, always 4 hits. You just hope that Gannon gives you good warp RNG and it doesn't feel so long. And we have Silvers. Phase 4 is going to be a breeze and a dream.
Oh, no teleporting.
Almost
wow,
got the
very
kills.
good. And Wolfie finished in second place.
And get some GGs in chat for Relkin, finishing first on the race stream and third place overall with an official racetime.gg time, 2 hours 22 minutes at 11 seconds.
And when you are in top 3 in one of these races, it's actually a pretty big deal. Because the top times are generally done based on the top 3, so
And
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we are joined by Relkin here in chat. GG's welcome, Relkin. Well played. Take us through that seed.
Well, that became a bit of a panic moment at the end, just looking for the EP Big Key.
Yeah.
Because I was so excited when I saw a Big Key pop up in Eastern, and it wasn't the EP Big Key, so I was like, well, that just dashed all my hopes and dreams right there. And so I did quite a bit of stuff, extra stuff that didn't need to do, including climbing and then going back to Thieves Town, going back to Skull Woods. And then finally, I just went over to Kingston, found Desert. I was like, okay, I'll just go beat this now. I'll go check Green Pendant after getting the shovel checked. And then finally, it showed up on Sahashala. So,
well, you say climb. The climb was required because you needed the climb to get the boots.
Nope,
No,
boots
the
were in
boots
Swamp.
Oh yeah, huh?
There was it was Aga 2 was not required in any way this season.
Huh. Okay, no, you're right. Yeah, that's quite annoying. The Aga 1 requirement is always funny.
Yeah, I decided to just route that in on my way to do some other checks. So, or like on my way from some other checks. So I was like, well, I'm not going to come back here, so I may as well do it now.
Yep.
That's like. Sorry, I was just mentioning Foothill is checking a few extra locations. Seems somewhat not lost, but definitely doesn't seem to be.
He got the mushroom off Ether Tablet, so he's turning that in. And Flipheel did find found Desert before you, Relkin, but chose not to complete it at that time. Was still looking for the Thieves Town Big, I believe.
That was really early.
You guys had very different routes.
Yeah. The biggest difference early was that Flipeel followed the connectors to Death Mountain and did that exploration. Well, you kind of did the more standard route and checked the drop downs, got that glove early, and so Flipeel was very late to the glove. His first glove was actually the one in Ice Palace.
And about an hour-ish, hour 15 in. So, wide open seed because of that connector to Death Mountain giving you access to so much, but kind of a curse.
Yeah, but I'll take the third place. That's
yeah.
I got third in the last qualifier I did too, so 2 thirds in a row.
Very good. Are you just going to go and knock out all your qualifiers right away, or are you going to do a few extra qualifiers?
I think tomorrow I'll be doing that one, so that'll be my third. And I guess I can do a fourth as well. I'm not sure. I have to look back at my list and see which one I can do.
Well, I mean, with 2/3, like you're unless you forfeit the other one, you almost 3. You're like 3 should be it. Like there's not that many entrants. Like I had said at the start of this, that I think that if you do 4 seeds in a semi-competent amount of time, 3 seeds, sorry, because your fourth one gets axed out. If you do 3 semi-competent times for seeds, I think you get into the tournament at this point. Like there's like 10 people at the bottom that all have forfeits right now, so I don't know how many people who normally play entrants haven't entered yet, but I feel like there's no more than like 80 like competitive entrance players. I'm not sure what your thoughts on that are as somebody who plays the mode more and sees how many people, and if you think the current field that is qualified or that is played in qualifiers is about what people expect. But I feel like there's only about 80 to 90 people who play entrance regularly enough.
Yeah, I'd have to look and see how many, which people are in it, and but yeah, I think from last year's Cross Keys tournament to this year, I'm sure there's been some improvement in the field. So
Oh yeah,
I'm sure it'll be even harder, like for anyone that's maybe relatively good, maybe not like an expert, but like relatively good. It'll be hard for them just because everyone's gonna be relatively good. The ceiling. The skill ceiling has been kind of lowered, it feels like, because everyone's getting better.
right. I just mean in the fact that 64 people are going to make it in, and as of right now, there are 71 racers, and most of them have actually only raced one total race, and it was and most of them are forfeits.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I don't think I will have a difficult time making brackets, but it just I'm sure other people would be sitting on the bubble. I don't know.
Are you interested in getting your top possible seeding to possibly get a good opponent for the first round of bracket?
or do you not think about that too much with the way that the entrance field is?
I don't think about it too much. I think any opponent I'm going to get in bracket will be a good matchup. So
yeah, I feel like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was done talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like that in entrance, especially, like anybody anyone who can complete 4 seeds in a time that's in like top 64 of people who want to play in this, like you could probably lose to any of them just because of how wide open the route in is and how many different viable routes there are in entrance. So I could be wrong on that, but
I mean, it can be quite easily to get randoed in entrance.
so easily.
Unlike your open seeds where you see your top execution players being very deliberate and full clearing the world, while you still do that in entrance, it's there's often choices that get made about what's the item that I want to orphan the least.
A 194 collection rate. Holy. That's about as high as they get. Without deliberately picking up every chest. That is.
Yeah, one up here in the spoilers channel was saying that he got 212, I think.
Oh wow!
I could easily see that with this seed. Honestly, sometimes in entrance, especially if I get really if I'm starting to notice oh man, this is slow, I'll actually just start intentionally picking up the one-off items that you'd normally just skip, a heart in Checkerboard Cave, just because I want to get that 213, 216 number one day.
Mm-hmm. And that's like it's like multi-world levels of clearing.
Yeah. I mean, that happens.
This seed was rough. That's all there is to it.
It was so open, and then yeah, I can definitely see how first place was a good 8 minutes ahead because they just probably hit those few locations in a slightly different way than everyone else.
It was all about those pod keys giving you the swamp small.
Yeah. Brelton doing an absolutely flawless icebreaker.
Who?
Sorry, Flipio.
I mean, your icebreaker was pretty good too, Relkin.
I didn't do icebreaker.
Yeah, I was about to say,
oh yeah, you didn't have Samari at that point.
Yeah, so no, he only did
never went into Ice Palace, right?
I did, but I left after getting the mitts.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, but the other 2 items were only nice to haves. It was the flute and the lamp. Which the flute was never required in the seed, and you didn't have bad access to Death Mountain anyway.
It still felt like it took me forever to get anywhere.
Agreed.
Flute will save you so much time in the entrance.
And then the lamp, which obviously, if you know the rooms and you have the fire rod, not the worst thing to miss. But doing Dark Agra must have been a decision you were dreading.
No, I'm comfortable with fire rod. Plus, I have so much health. And also, it was just like on my route. It's like, well, I need to do this, so I'm just going to go and do it now. And
Fair.
also, there's a chest here that I need to check anyway, so just do it while I'm there.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it gives you a little bit of time to think, do I want to go up to Ether Tablet? Do I want to finish off the rest of the boots checks? Dip into Eastern?
Yeah. What kept you away from ice? Because you just didn't go back, even though it had the most chats, just not wanting to dread that dip.
So I was actually thinking to myself late during the seed that no one had finished yet, and since I had not gone back to ice, I knew that the lamp had probably had to be there. But I figured that maybe nothing else was there that was necessary. So I metagamed kind of a little bit there, just thinking that maybe ice didn't have anything else required.
Yeah, you're right. So good assessment.
And then the fact that it was pendant too was really not wanting me to go back there. So
yeah, that's very good game sense, and that's I think we kind of mentioned that earlier. Is just recognizing an entrance logic is a little bit more important.
Lanmo's getting away from Flip Heel this time around, too. Getting a little bit late, and he knows that his progression is somewhere here behind Lanmo. Does a little bit of a sigh at seeing the shovel. So, Relkin, do you have a particular strategy for cross keys? Do you like to prioritize clearing an area, or do you like to gather as much information as you can?
Well, I'll clear an area first, and then once I clear an area, I'll choose a connector to go through and see where it leads. And if it leads me somewhere big, I'll clear that area. If it doesn't lead me anywhere, I'll start a new route. And then after that, I mean, just I think that's just rinse and repeat. And then once I also keep track of how many item caves there are left in the game. So once I can see that I've found all of them, I'll stop checking entrances, and same with dungeons. So I keep track of that stuff so I can make sure I'm not doing unnecessary entrance checking.
That's a really good strategy. And we had been discussing earlier that there are a lot of strategies for taking care of entrance seeds. Some people like the map trackers. Some people like to just do spreadsheets or notes. Some people like physical maps.
I do use a map to track entrances. So
yep, I wouldn't be able to do this mode without a good map tracker. I don't think most people could. I think the majority of people I see either track through a map or track through very detailed notes.
Oh,
I know some people still use spreadsheet. I think Andy and Jim.
Andy has a very detailed spreadsheet.
Oh no! It looks like Flip Heel forgot where Eastern was. Speaking of note taking,
they are using a map tracker, but it doesn't seem like they track everything on their own.
well,
So
they are in
notes.
Are in the right part of the world now.
Oh, he hasn't even gone into Eastern, seeing but he doesn't have that GT big key. Oh no, he does. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing.
He did it really early, actually.
I was looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Going down Hammer House. There you go. One fun thing about this seed was how quickly we got access to all the areas of the world. We weren't searching for a connector to Mire, weren't searching for any connectors to Dark or Light Death Mountain.
I'm sorry. Did you? Can you say that again?
Just that we weren't looking for awkward connectors. Sorry, my cat refuses to be quiet. That we got connectors quite early to the Mire location. We got connectors to Dark and Light Death Mountain, and really anywhere that we wanted to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, like I said before, the flute would have made travel a lot easier just than having go to a specific entrance just to go somewhere. But I don't know. It worked out in the end, I think. Getting third I'll take getting third any day, I think.
Dang. Yeah, this seed had a few weird, like the actual vanilla flippers is a cute thing in this seed.
Especially considering, your glove you could get immediately if you went to the useless fairy drop down and then just walk right back over to Zora to pick up your flippers if you wanted. That is crystal number 7 for Flip Heel. Has taken care of Aga 1 as well, so he can just run straight over to Lumberjack and take care of his Gannon fight with Butter Sword. And we'll have a similarly quick fight.
Yeah, the lucky thing about these really long seeds is you do get an easy fight, so.
Exactly. Any other thoughts on the seed, Relkin, or on cross keys in general?
It's probably the most fun mode, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed. 100%.
I think that anybody who doesn't think it's the most fun mode hasn't found their method on how to play it, because it is extremely fun to play.
I just love trying to piece together, the map in my head even. Like, you've got the map tracker, but then you try to think, it's like, okay, well, if this cave is leading to the Mire area, what does that actually look like?
It's literally a logic puzzle. And logic puzzles are something that our brains like. Our brains like to piece together puzzles based on clues and signs, and that's what entrance usually is it's a lot of context clues on, like, it can follow spheres a lot better sometimes. Or at least I find that a lot of the times, you get an item, it's the next item's usually behind that. It's a very satisfying thing once you start piecing together the world again, that you've rebuilt the world. Almost, I don't know. That's how my brain processes it. I love. It feels like you're rebuilding the world when you're doing this.
And Flip Heel has defeated Gannon and has completed the seed with an official racetime.gg time of 2 hours, 40 minutes, and... Oh, I lost my place.
241.03.
241.03. GG. And is joining us here in chat. GG's Flip Hill. Well played.
GG.
Tell us about this seed. And tell us why you didn't clear desert. When you first found it.
The full clear seed for me by mistake. I don't know. So I was actually feeling pretty good when I went into Swamp for doing Thieves and GT. But I don't know, when I got to Desert, the first 2 dungeons that I cleared were pendants. And I think I had checked Ped, and I knew Ped was, or I was like, I don't know, it was I guess it was 2 items, but I still had a lot of stuff to do. I had Hera to find still, I think, and yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, coming to the glove so late was not in probably not ideal. You did do some great work, exploring the world and finding connectors, but being so late to the glove was a bit detrimental.
Yeah, I don't know. There weren't too many actual like hurtful glove locations that hurt, especially since 2 of the connectors led to the bumper ledge area. But I think the main thing that kind of sucked was I think it was the fire rod and the bombos out of logic when I found Ice Palace at super early. So I was like, it's not in logic yet. Let's not go in, which really was unfortunate because I could have actually bypassed the first glove with the second glove in there. But what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Like, when did I get to desert? I think it was like somewhere at the 2-hour mark, 2:10 maybe.
Well, you had gotten the boots out of swamp, and you did the 2 fairy caves. Then you immediately went and checked King's Tomb and found desert, but that didn't clear it. You finished off the rest of your boots checks, found your Hera in hammer pegs, and then did your GT climb.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then what? I think it was the thieves. I didn't go back for the thieves small, but that was heartbreaking when I found the thieves small after or in Uncle.
Yeah, Relkin, any words about that thieves small as well?
That was pretty funny to see that after the GT climb. I wanted to metagame that pretty hard, so I just went ahead and did it. Just in case, on the off chance, I just luck upon that Eastern Big Key in the big chest.
Yeah, and then I don't know. At some point, I think I was gonna do desert into the north checks. So before I did, not that it would matter too much, but I think I was gonna do that before going back to Kakariko for the Smith chain and stuff. But I don't know. Something happened, and I just opted to do that first. I think the only things I didn't do were Dig Spot, maybe, Thieves Town, and Hera Basement.
That sounds about right to me. Oh, Skullwood's big.
No, actually, I think I did that pretty early. Because, there was nothing in it, but I think I sequence braked at least, it was DM's room, but the pod small was nice, but it wasn't really anything too exciting over there.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, other than not opting to do desert for my third pendant, it was okay seed. Kind of fun. Some of those dungeons were pretty loaded. I can't believe Ice was pretty stacked.
I never got my lamp or flute.
Oh wow, you never even went in there? Oh, wow.
I got the mitts, but left after that, my first time in.
Well, other thoughts, you two? Any thoughts, Flip Heel, about the tournament and how many more qualifiers you think you'll do?
I'm gonna try to do as many as I can, but I think there's only about 4 more that fit my schedule, so I'll try to at least do 2 more, but we'll see if I have time. I'll try to do some other ones.
Yeah, it's definitely takes a lot of practice still, especially to keep track of the locations and logic and all that.
Absolutely. There will be another qualifier race tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 p.m. UTC, as well as a qualifier on Sunday morning at 10 p.m. Eastern or 1400 hours UTC. You can go and look for the race room on racetime.gg. It's really easy to sign up. If you were more familiar with, trying to sign up for SRL, and if you got really frustrated with doing with that, Racetime is really easy to use. You can link it directly with your Twitch account. It has live split integration. It's just a really nice platform, and if you want to join in one of these qualifier races, highly recommend that you do so.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty much all. Not sure if you have anything else to say, Mind of Me?
No, that's it. I would just recommend that you give our runners Flipheal and Relkin a follow. Check out what they're doing. You can see their cross keys practice, and if they're not on Restream, you can see them play in the rest of their qualifiers. Big shout outs to Nori, our Restreamer, as well as a tracking with Adalor and Zelnus. It was a pleasure commentating with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Look forward to continuing watching this tournament myself, and thank you to everyone participating and helping out with the stream. And to everyone out there, just keep safe and yeah.
Just real quick, I just want to say GG's to both Relkin and Flipheal, and also to thank Zelnus and Mind of Me for doing commentary, and also Adalor for doing tracking today with me. So it's late here. It's after 2 a.m. my time, so I'm going to say good night, everyone, and we hope to see you soon. Definitely should be hyped tomorrow, 7 p.m. For the next qualifier with actual restream will start at 1/4 after the hour. So, hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye.